Hello and welcome to Heather and Hops. My name is Kat or Catherine and I'm a knitter based in Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom. This is my little space on the internet where I've documented my knitting journey from project 1 through to now, where we have kind of cultivated a cute little community kind of around fibre, predominantly knitting, and kind of mindful and intentional feels. It's lovely. Little Audrey is the in-house cat mascot who is on one a little bit right now. She's at the door but she can get out, so we're not going to have a distracted episode. I'll try and insert some footage. She was actually sat on her sofa, which has been sorely missed apparently. So hopefully she will come sit down and join us. She's so funny. She's so funny. So I have a cup of hot water mint today, which is a type of mint. It is one of my favourites. I don't know much particularly about mint. I would like to learn more. It's the same with everything, but it's from the lovely farm that we visit up in Scotland, so it's particularly special and particularly good today. I actually had a coffee this morning, and I've developed this weird twitch again in my eye, but it's spread, so hopefully that doesn't happen while I try and record and isn't distracting today. So yeah, quickly up front, I guess I'll talk about what I'm wearing. So I have my improvised hat. It is a hat that I knitted I finished it not too long ago and knitted it using Newton and some silk alpaca from Drops, both held single strand together, some simple 1x1 ribbing and some stockinette and decreases. Really like this hat, it's lightweight. I can't believe it is now towards the end of August, but still the middle of August, and it's triple knitwear weather. I'm not going to show you, but I am also wearing Jessie May's framework Barla in cotton. I'll try and put a picture up rather than take this off now. And then I'm wearing my ranunculus. I think this was the first one I ever knitted, and I knit it using Railwork DK, which is still one of my favourite yarns, and I would love to knit. Audrey's climbing the fence. Would love to knit more in this yarn. I have 2.5 skeins of it left, but I keep saving it because to me it's so special. It's super lofty. I love the combination of this lofty yarn and the texture. The lace was kind of filled out a little bit. Maybe I could reblock it, but I'm really happy with it. It is a larger fit than most of my ranunculus that I knitted. Like I've said about the sleeves in the past, when I've reknitted it I have made them shorter. This is actually lovely. Like, this is somewhere between a sassy cropped top and a sort of oversized, almost like I've stolen my dad's jumper in the arms, but I really like it. I've worn it really a lot and it's a staple. It has peeled, but maybe we'll do, I'm hoping to, at the end of September maybe, record a video where I kind of look back on the jumpers that I have kept, that I've knitted over the last few years, and kind of maybe review how I've liked them, how I've worn them. If I've not worn them, maybe I can gift them, and then maybe some little upkeep on them. She's really on one. She's jumped back down and is... Oh, Audrey! No! Oh dear. She's got a mouse. Tell everyone how naughty you are. How naughty are you? How naughty are you? So she was very excited because she did manage to catch a mouse. Luckily it's totally unharmed, and we're just going to have a little bit of a wound up ordering for company. Oh dear. Right, so that's what I'm wearing. I'm very happy with both of these projects. This one for sure has been in my wardrobe for such a long time, in my knitting grand scheme of things, and this hat is new, but I'm already wearing it, so this is very good, happy, intentional knitting for me. So, works in progress. No, I lie. Finished objects. I have a pair of socks. Because it has been 2 weeks since I recorded, since I did a little bit of a reflection on the shawls that I have, I managed to finish a pair of socks, and it's not unlike me. Once I start knitting on something that I'm really enjoying, I find it easy to become monogamous, and, you know, do it. And like I thought would happen, and as I expected, the simple addition of a slightly variegated yarn or tonal variegated, it's slightly variegated, and some gentle texture, they've kind of knit themselves. So this gorgeous yarn is West Country 4-ply, which is spun by John Arbon and then hand dyed by Emily Foden in Canada, or her group, because I know that Emily now has kind of some staff members, and it is 50% Exmoor Horn, 20% Exmoor Horn, I guess it's 2 different types or batches, and 30% Blueface Leicester, 388 meters per 100 grams. And Viola, it's beautiful. And this is going to be a little bit, not of a heavy episode on Emily, but there's a couple of projects. And this was a slight variation of her Emily's favourite socks, which I have the book here, and we'll come back to it again. And like I said, this book at this time of year, as the weather starts changing, becomes kind of, maybe I talk about it too much, but these are the socks, and she does actually write down sort of the recipe on how she got the striping and the colour changes and where she puts them. I opted to do them in one colour. I shortened the leg, and that's partly personal preference, because I really like, I don't often find I need much longer. I like it to be able to come through just a bit the top of my Chelsea boots that I wear, sort of Doc Marteny. They're Doc Marten, but they're the work boots, so they actually seem to last, even though they are a lot cheaper. But anyway, so that's kind of the perfect length. And I also got to sort of here, and I started weighing the ball, and it means that I can actually get another pair of socks out of the 100 grams. So for me, I could have knitted them longer and had a folded cuff, but then I wouldn't have been able to get another pair of socks out of them unless I used a contrast colour. So yeah, very happy with these. They fit really nicely. I do have to admit I love a heel flap and gusset. I did almost only and exclusively use a Fish Lips Kiss heel, but now I'm knitting toe up, I find that the rhythm's fine, it's easy enough to execute. So yeah, very happy. They feel lovely, and yes, I haven't woven in the ends yet, and I did consider doing that before I sat down to talk with you, but I just think just being honest is and this is me. I will probably weave them in this afternoon, because it means now that not that I stop myself necessarily from wearing things until I've shared them, because that's not me, but you know, now that they are done, they have had a little wash, I can weave in the ends. I don't like to weave in my ends before I've washed them. Yeah, these feel amazing, and I'm really excited to have yet another pair of socks for my no nylon sock project, which I might chat about actually soon, because we've worn things quite a bit, but I'm still not convinced that I've had enough wearing all of them. So we'll see. Maybe we'll just have it in a normal video. And then recently on Saturday, because more frustrating car troubles are very funny, but also, yeah. I was meant to go and meet a lovely lady to talk about wool on Saturday, and I was a bit upset that the car let us down yet again, and I wanted to do something fibre related, and I wanted to do something slightly different. So what I ended up doing was kind of a few little maintenance tasks, like I oiled my blockers. I don't know if you're meant to, I should actually have a look. But for me, I know that I don't like it when wood gets too wet and starts to, you know, age and show its wear, but these have kept really nicely. I just use a bit of linseed oil or flax linseed, same thing. Just give it a little rub. So it was really nice to sit down and do some, you know, maintenance and take care of things when otherwise I was only not, you know, it's just good to do fibre things. Right, let's pop this down. So my next project that I would love to share with you is my Bouquet sweater, which is a pattern by Junko Okamoto. Junko Okamoto. I don't know why I've got a bit of a tongue tie today. And I have made a lot of progress on it. I have specifically limited the amount that I can work on this with the help of little Audrey, who has taken to sitting on it if it's around and I'm not holding it, which is classic cat behaviour, but it's Audrey's now, not mine. But even so, I've really made progress. I have really enjoyed knitting it, so I did kind of say 10 rounds at a max per time I knitted on it, but I've already divided for the sleeves and started on the ribbing. I have modified this. It is a pattern that comes in one size, and for most people that's quite frustrating because it is what it is. I wasn't aware of that when I put this on a wish list, and I don't normally do wish lists on Ravelry, but I put it there so that I would remember to look into it in the future, and someone very generously purchased it for me, and I loved it. I really wanted to knit it right away, but when I saw that it was one size, I kind of knew that it would take a little bit of thinking and the texture would take a bit of thinking, so I kind of put it to the back burner for a while, and I ended up, usually these one size patterns from experience are a bit like this was. I think this was a one size pattern kind of when I first knit it. There's actually a lot more modifications now, which I think is great. But I decided that the way that I would negate it is swatching. I know, swatching, and I've gone from, I think it's a worsted weight that the pattern calls for, to holding 2 strands of 4-ply together to make a DK weight yarn. So I am using Woolly Knit, the 100% British cones. I think this is pine green, and this is natural, light natural twist. I've had quite a few questions, people asking how nice the yarn is from the Sulaulu, I believe it is, that I recently finished, and I still can't really talk about how it lasts and wears, but I personally really enjoy knitting with it. It's sheepy and rustic, but I can wear it next to skin, but I'm wearing rail work next to skin, I wear Shetland next to skin, so I'm not the best. I wear Let Lopey next to skin too, so I don't have a big, you know, reaction or sensitivity to yarn, or wool I should say. So all that to say, I enjoy knitting it, and it's super affordable. I have the sleeves and a bit of the body left, and this is what I have left so far of a 500-gram cone. This was a 125-gram cone. This will finish easily the pattern, and so this one was £5 and this one was £16. So a £21 jumper, and I will have a bit left for future projects, maybe colour work, maybe a full hat, who knows. So yeah, I'm really happy with this so far. I've loved knitting on it. The addition of jacquard ladderback jacquard, I always forget. So you're basically popping stitches to the back using a purl stitch, and you get almost a double fabric where you can have really long floats. I think there's a little mark there, but once you pull on that, that will disappear entirely. The addition and combination of colourwork and ladderback has been really, really fun for me. I find it quite relaxing. It's not the way I knit, and I should have recorded it. I do have a little bit left, but it might be harder to show on the sleeves. The way I knit makes this no different from doing colourwork or ribbing in terms of speed particularly. Like, it's just, my hands just weirdly do it. So I have held the dark green, the contrast, in my left hand the entire time, and the grey in the right hand. So the movements, for me personally, I find really enjoyable, and I've not had an issue with the long floats because of the technique I used. However, if you don't like long floats and you don't enjoy unit ladderback, this is not the project for you. So far, I'm really happy with how it's going to fit. My row gauge adjusted slightly, so I decided that I wouldn't finish the first. So this is the first chart. Oh, I can't remember. Maybe it's to here. I divided for the sleeves sooner than I should have done, but I didn't want another jumper where the armpit is all the way down here. I wanted it to hug just a little bit closer, just to stop it lifting it up as much like this one does, as you can see. So hopefully that's negated that. I did also omit some of the colour work, so I didn't do quite as many increases. I did a few less when increasing in the round, and then I did a few less on the cast on for the underarm, which meant that this chart here, this should go into a V, so this should be repeated, but obviously you can see mine doesn't. So that's how I adjusted the back chart for my size. Kind of took it off, but also on the front it's kind of really cute, but there's a little chicken motif that should be here. I just created a chart where I took this motif, and just put it a few rows lower to fill out that space. I don't know, it's just not the most me thing in the world. I love chickens, I think they're lovely, but if I lived on a farm in like a country home, which I was obviously the dream, but if I did, maybe I would do that. And if I'd done the colours in a more brown or chickeny colours, I probably would have done it, but I feel like this is really botanical, and that's where I wanted it to be. I think, other than mentioning, because I know people ask about the tubular cast on and say that it's difficult or confusing, I find it really simple. I don't know if it's because I've now done it so many times, but once I did it once, I found it a really nice process, and I know that a lot of people have said it's the joining and the round that's the thing that throws them off. I don't know why I did it the first time, but I've always done it. So I cast on one extra stitch. If you're working in rib, you'll end up with 2 knit stitches together before you join in the round. So all I do is join by slipping the last stitch over the first, pulling it tight, and then starting. Hopefully that makes sense, but I feel like it gives quite a nice finish and you're not getting confused or having to join it in a more challenging way. So yeah, I am really enjoying this. I'm trying to eke it out a bit. I have got a little bit more colour work to do on the sleeves. I think what I'm just going to do is finish the colour work that is seen and the rest will be stockinette, but I will have to do a few more ladder back stitches, which means that this is going to be a really warm jumper. It's quite a dense gauge because it's DK, but yeah, very happy with it so far, and I'm not in a rush to finish it, but I'm looking forward to wearing it. Yeah. Right. I have one more project. I'm getting this book again. That's a work in progress that I want to share. I have been very monogamous. I'm trying to do that. It's the way that brings me the most joy. I know that the next two garments I cast on are going to be cardigans. I think the Yell cardigan for sure, and the Tolk cardigan. The Yell is by Marie Wallen and the Tolk is by Albiona, who used to go as LB Hand Knits, and it's a beautiful basic cardigan that looks just the thing that I've been talking about for some time. I might add a pocket into it, but other than that, it's beautiful. So just quickly, I'll show you the beautiful version of, I say beautiful, I'll show you the book version of what I'm going to show you now. And these are the just mitten liners basically, which is, it's called interchangeable mitten liners for very cold days. And there's a few reasons that I wanted to knit these. Firstly, I hope to gift or give Alex my current mittens. They're black and grey and they're beautiful, but I'd like to knit another pair, so it's a really good reason to. But I do have a pair of mittens that I'm hoping to knit in the not too distant future. But in the meantime, just in case it doesn't happen until winter, I thought these would be perfect, you know, as mittens, but really basic. And also if I want to wear my fingerless mitts, I can put these under while I don't have any big mittens. The other reason is because I really wanted to knit with this yarn. Because it's everything, isn't it? It's the project, how you feel, what's useful for the wardrobe, but the yarn. Sometimes you get excited and get joy from yarn, and this is, you have to forgive me, I've had this wrapped up inside the centre, and this is Forage and Sew Dye Works Romany and Merino fingering yarn, and it's naturally dyed and non-superwash from Hudson Valley, and Jenny that sent it to me is very just kindly gifted, just sent it, she wanted to, which is really kind, but it is beautiful. This is hand dyed with indigo. I've divided it into two balls, and since I enjoyed knitting 2 at a time magic loop for these socks, I'm doing it again for the mittens. The mitten pattern has no difference in whether you're knitting for the left or right, so I'm basically knitting 2 of one hand at a time, and then I'll just flip them. And I've not done too much, as you can see, but I was knitting this partly whilst playing D&D last night, which I'll show you. I'll show you my dice bag because I don't know that I've shared it before. Maybe I have. But nice and relaxing, as you can see so far. It is just stockinette. They have a rolled hem, and I was thinking that I might do a texture just to stop it rolling, but actually after a little while it's really not rolling too much, like at the side. So I think with just a little bit of blocking it's going to roll just the right amount, and it feels gorgeous. This is really a soft yarn. There's a little bit of more texture than just like a commercial yarn. There's a few sort of tiniest bit of thick and thin, but I absolutely love it. I really do. The feeling on the hands feels so nice, and I kind of really want to knit on it some more. But in terms of how they fit and the shaping, I'm not there yet, so hopefully I'll get to talk about that very soon. And I will find out who made this bag. I always forget, and I feel really bad for always forgetting, but it's a beautiful bag that was also gifted to me that I got to do my first ever giveaway with, which I think I'm going to organise one for 3 years of sharing over here on YouTube. We'll see what happens with that, like what will go into it. I think I've got an idea for something already and a few other little bits, but yes. Oh, pause. I thought I was gonna whoosh through today, but clearly I'm having a chatty day again. I'll try and remember who made this badge. This is a, pop it in the, I try and put everything that I talk about in a link below, but I know that sometimes things can get missed, but I am getting a lot better. But I just wanted to share my dice bag. So that's a badge that's based on Caduceus Clay, a character from Critical Role. Makes sense if you've seen it, doesn't if you haven't. And this was my Fuggles dice bag that I knitted using 3 of my own hand-dyed yarns. No, two. The DK weight that I used and the mohair was yarn that I dyed myself, and then the merino singles in there, you can just about tell. That will be the thin, non-halo-y one. So mostly the pinks is by Biff Sugar Yarns in the Daydreamer colourway. And it is the Fuggles Christmas dice bag, and I designed it for a gift and then wrote it up because it was so quick and easy and perfect for dice. It's also, I've knitted these for putting my face mask in when it goes in my bag, and for gift knitting socks. I put them in there and it's just a nice handy way of having something reusable. But yeah, I just wanted to share my dice bag because I don't know that I have. But it's on Ravelry and my Ko-Fi if you would like it. And I also just wanted to share this, which I was waiting not to share, but I can't decide what to put it on yet. But this is the Crit and Knit badge by the Corner of Craft, who's Hannah, and also goes by Chromatic Yarns because she dyes Dungeons and Dragons inspired yarn. But yeah, super cute. Hannah gifted this to me when she sent me my sample set of mini and sock yarn for our Christmas cast on this year. She's very exciting. But yeah, just had to share for those that are interested in D&D and knitting. And then finally, something different. So I wanted to do a gift, a special gift, and had an idea, and I did it. It's the skein. I can actually show you. I can show you. I have been looking at this for a while, and I think listening to lovely Marina of the Marina Skewer podcast and a few other people, and seeing their handspun projects and playing with the handspun, the ball of handspun yarn that I've got, and looking at this behind me, I keep thinking, oh, I think I would like to do this myself again. And I did a little bit before. It must have been 20 grams or 30 grams of singles, but I'd never plied before, and I don't know, inspiration took, so I did it. And I practiced a little bit with some of the anonymous wool that I got from a pack when I purchased my spindle from Kaz of Woolly Yarns, when I did a course, like a day with her dyeing at Knitting Lounge in Kings Langley that's sadly shut now. I picked up this and it came with some fibre to practice with, and I finished that, so I think it might have been 50 grams, maybe not even 25, but over the last 2 years now I've used it and never had much success in enjoying it. It's always been too stop and start and I couldn't quite get the motion. But after playing with that, I was comfortable that I wanted to move on to a different fibre, and I have this crinkly myself. So this is Gotland yarn, 100% undyed, delightfully sheepy. It has a very different smell to something like Jacob to me, but very sheepy still. And I'm enjoying spinning it. So this is another little batch that I'm working on at the moment. It's still not, you know, the most consistent thing. A few things that I did learn. I keep putting, this is why I've got it in a basket now. I had previously kept putting it in a bag, inside a bag, and it was like getting tighter and tighter and more felted. And the difference between just pulling the fibres apart a little bit and not was basically the difference between me really enjoying it and finding a nice rhythm and being like, oh, why do people find this fun? Now obviously I get it, and I really loved doing it and loved the process. I think spending a bit of extra time with the fleece and the fibre will really add joy and the sense of connection to the project. And, you know, yes, I don't know the name of the sheep or the exact sheep, but I feel more connected to them somehow. And so yes, so I took it probably about the same. I'm hoping it's about the same. I took this, wound it off, and then made it into a double pull ball, which isn't the best. I'm sure having 2 batches the same length and then being able to apply them like that would be much better, but I didn't have too much and I ended up applying it, and I'm really happy with the result. So I've put a little label on it, and there is 60 grams here and about 70 meters. Now, my guess would be it's about an hour away, but I need to learn a bit more about gauging it and maybe invest in a little device. Maybe not yet. I don't feel like I'm that fussed, but it would be nice as it's a gift to be able to say. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. It seems to come out, it's not got too many extra twisty bits. It's not, yeah, it's just really, really a lovely process. So I have had quite a reduced knitting time. I'm really enjoying doing this. I 1000% see myself wanting to invest in a spinning wheel. I think for me personally, and the way I want to continue and to knit going forward, being able to choose the fibre and spinning it to the best of my ability to how I want it will be wonderful. And also like the different options it offers up in terms of colour. You know, I could get, I don't know, a blend of Gotland and a very fair coloured fibre, take parts of them, get Alex to hand dye them and then blend them and really get the exact colours and the thicknesses and that I want. Just seems, yeah. So I'm sorry I'm gushing about this, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm very, very surprised. And not because I didn't think I would enjoy it from the get-go, but because the last few times I've tried it, it's kind of felt really a bit like sometimes how I feel we're doing Magic Loop. You have to stop and start, stop and start. But I also found, just in case anyone's like myself and new and doesn't really, the first dozen times that I tried to use a spindle, I was watching videos of people spinning whilst trying to do it, or before and then during. Like once I thought I understood, I was just having them on in the background, hoping that I might pick up another tidbit of information that would be useful. But what ended up happening was, when I picked this up again, I watched one video and then I put music on. And not necessarily the most relaxing music to most, but I just put on music that I fancied listening to, and that really seemed to help. I was no longer half concentrating on what I should be doing. I was just focused on what I was doing, and I had a nice rhythm. And I felt like I could connect better with the yarn, what I was meant to be doing, you know, controlling this. It just seemed to really help. So I don't know if that will help anyone else. But yeah, it's so sheepy. I actually was like, oh Alex, this smells so good, it's so sheepy. And then kind of was like, here. And he was like, I can smell it from here already, please don't hold that next to my nose. And I kind of felt bad, but it did make me giggle. So yeah, it's got a lovely drape to it. Again, I don't know if it's correct. I don't know that there's a real correct or wrong, but I'm excited and very happy to have finally found that I can insert that into my kind of big goal of going from fleece to garment. I'm one step closer. I can spin the yarn myself now. I do think I will invest in a wheel before I try and do a garment quantity, because it is slow, and that's not something that I dislike, but I think actually Marina said it right when we were chatting recently, in that spinning doesn't always hold the attention for as long, and I get that. In knitting you have, for me, Marina said that you can't see the progress as much, and I think for me it's more about actually just the repetitive motion. In knitting I don't mind if I don't see progress that much, but I know that, you know, there's a sleeve to bind off, there's a heel to put on, there's some increases to do or some texture to work on, but for that it isn't, it's the same thing. So I feel like, yeah, before garments, a wheel would be a wonderful investment, but something that will take time to save up for, to, you know, I've been watching and listening to a lot of spinning videos recently in the hope to pick up this information, and I think I know what I would like and what I would like it to be able to do. But yeah, always good to keep learning. So I think that's everything for today. I'm going to put in some footage. I haven't taken too much when we've been out, or I've been out. We've really, in just the light of being open and honest, we've had 2 weeks of a bit like that, and I feel like there's something in the air because a lot of people have felt a bit like that, at least the people around me, and I'm hoping that's not the energy I'm putting out, because I haven't really seen many people. But anyway, yeah, and this weekend was particularly nice in that we kind of slowed down and got to be together, and kind of, so I did take a little bit of footage over the last couple of weeks, but all that to say is I have tried to be a bit more present and less trying to find the beauty, if that makes sense, so that I'm enjoying it there and then just for the healing factor, but I love sharing, so I did dabble, but just not overly. So hopefully, I'm feeling a lot happier today. Hopefully Alex is too. He had a bit of a crappy day start. His car is obviously not going still. I'm hopefully going to pick up a piece to fix that today. But then he got to the train station and the trains were cancelled. So hopefully he comes back still feeling like the weekend did good. You know, we did a lot of being here at the house, but I did a bit of learning, did a bit of relaxing, sat in the garden for a little bit, went for a walk, went for a bike ride. So it was just really nice, and I feel a lot more balanced and happy. Yeah. So with that, I hope that, like I say, you are well, but that your week continues to be nice. Hopefully the weekend holds something enjoyable for you. Maybe, I don't know, maybe outdoors, maybe cozy indoors. I know that the weather is just, I mean, there's blackberries. I've just spotted more. We've got lots of blackberries. So hopefully maybe you can get foraging for something delicious, something that you can make a treat. We're hoping to do a blackberry crumble, but I will put in footage of making a rhubarb crumble because that was very good. It's definitely becoming crumble season a little bit early. Anyway, yes, take care of yourselves, please. Be nice to yourself, like give yourself a hug if you need it. Give your best friend a hug if you can. Give your partner, anyone that you love, tell them you love them. It's very important. It makes a huge difference to people's day when they just hear niceness. I really should go. I'm doing it again where I'm like putting it off a bit because I just want to stay and chat. But yes, please don't forget to love each other.
Yeah.